was like, nah, throw this heifer in the gulag. I'm done with her. I'm not dealing with her anymore. She can go. Honestly, she can drown in the deepest of rivers, and I hope the river water is dusty. I hope it is murky as hell. I hope she drowns in dusty, dirty, murky. Everyone's calling this a colonizer romance, and full disclaimer, I was not aware of this when I picked this up. I picked this up simply because this was one of the books that Kate Corain decided that she was going to review bomb. And so, you know what? I am so hyped to really, really get into this review because, yeah, I finished reading this and I have so many thoughts. Guys, let's get into it. Hi, and welcome to my channel. For all those who are new, my name is Shelly. I love everything books, and occasionally that includes book drama, but that's not what we're actually going to be discussing today. I have been made aware, like, as of yesterday, that the author actually did get involved in some drama post Kate Corain and pre and post her book release. And because I've only been made aware yesterday, that's not what we're here to discuss. I'm going to see if I can get my head around that drama and see if I can come and, let you guys know what's up. But today, no. What we're going to be discussing is the actual book. So yeah, count this as a book review. I don't know how we're going to, end this video. So it might actually be a book rant because, guys, oh my goodness, this book hurt my feelings in the sense that, Molly, so this book is your debut book. It got caught in the Kate Corain scandal. And then right after that, before your book even gets released, you have reviewers calling it a colonizer romance. And then you get caught in a bunch of drama. I'm just like, she's not having her best debut year, is she? But the reason why this book hurt my feelings is because after the whole Kate Corain drama, and for those of you who aren't aware, I do have a couple of videos, one explaining what happened and two explaining what Kate did after that. So do check it out if you want a bit of summary of, the whole drama with Kate Corain. But if you do not have too much time, let me give you just a little teaser. Kate Corain basically was another debut author who was meant to be debuting this year, and then she was debuting with a bunch of other authors, and authors have a community where they all kind of connect, regardless of, if you guys are signed to the same publisher or not. And she decided that she was going to 1-star review bomb all of them, and she basically targeted people on race. She mostly targeted people of color. And I think she threw one author in there so it didn't seem like she was being racist. And then she was caught, denied it. And then it really came out that, a lot of evidence came out that, nah, this is her. And then she finally admitted to it. She got dropped by everyone and basically tanked her career before it even started. So that is the summary of the whole Kate Corain drama. Like I said, if you want receipts and details and all of that, go and watch the video. Because I really get into it. So this book, To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly Xiang, this book was one of the books that Kate Corain review bombed. And so after the whole review bombing scandal, everyone in the book community, we all decided, within the community amongst ourselves, that we are going to support these authors in any way possible. Like, even if you couldn't buy the book, and the book isn't in a genre that you would read, so you don't really want to buy the book, it's just like telling people about the book, making people aware of the situation so that they can go and buy the book. Whatever it was, we decided that we were going to support these authors because what happened to them was absolutely just atrocious. And we're just like, you know what? You guys didn't deserve this. And in any way possible, we're going to, support you. I am a fantasy reader. I love fantasy. I love sci-fi. And so most of the books that were, attached were fantasy, sci-fi. So I, of course, I had every single one of those books pre-ordered and ready to go. So this was one of those books. Now, I've been in a recurring book slump for the entire year of 2024. I think it's choice overload, and also because I kind of went ham in 2023, the most books I've ever read. It's 100. I know some people are reading 300 books a year, but that's not me. 100 was a lot for me. And so I think I'm just in a recurring book slump because of those and other external reasons and whatnot. But I'm slowly getting back into it. And so I obviously have this book pre-ordered and it's been on my shelf, and I'm just so excited to read it because not only is the cover gorgeous, and I always say that, a gorgeous cover, so, most times, 9 times out of 10, the story will match the cover, as in it will be a beautiful story. And also the actual premise was like really, really amazing to me. I'm just like, I love books like that. Bring on the revolutionaries, bring on, strong FMC. I'm all for it. And then, right, I start reading into this book. And I purposefully, and I mean really, really intentionally, made sure that I kind of like stayed away from book Twitter, and I haven't even really been engaging that much with book talk either, because it just seems like there's been a lot of drama, and I kind of wanted space from that. So I haven't been made aware of any drama that's been happening the last like few weeks, or even like, maybe over a month. And so I'm just really focusing on getting my reading back on, enjoying my life. And I get into this book, and then barely into this book, I see a video that's just like, I read the book that everyone's calling a colonizer romance. And I see the thumbnail of the video, and it's this book. And I'm just like, oh no. Oh, absolutely no. Please tell me that this is really just like a bunch of people saying a bunch of things and they haven't even read the book. Please tell me that's what's happening. And I didn't watch the video because I'm just like, just seeing the title has already placed some bias in me, and I don't like reading with biases. I'm just like, let me come up with an opinion on my own. So I haven't watched any of those videos, but then I read the book, guys. Guys, oh my god. Guys. This is why this book hurt my heart, because we intentionally like boosted all of the books that were attacked by Kate Corain because we wanted to support the authors. We wanted to say that this is not going to be what stops you guys. And then you write a book like this. So before we get into it, and because I know a lot of people have like very conflicting opinions on whether or not this is a colonizer romance and whether or not, people should pick this up. Before we touch on that, let me actually say one of the main reasons I could not vibe with this book is the fact that I can't stand the female main character. I can't stand her at all. She's terrible. Guys, it was like the beginning of the book, I'm just like, oh, she's mad annoying. She's actually annoying. I can't stand this girl at all. Her name is Rieng, and her world has basically been taken over by Rome. So her world is Pangu, a world of, fantasy and magics. And not everyone has magic, but a few people do. And out of nowhere, one day, a portal opened up in the sky, and these people from this non-magical world came through, and they were the Romans. It was really interesting. They used like Augustus and his family to like, take over. I thought that's a very interesting, side note. And the thing is, the author even said that, some of the plots in the story was based from things that actually happened in real life, but not, the enemy in real life wasn't Rome. And so there was a lot of complication with that, but I'm just like, I'm not trying to get into this. I just want to enjoy the story. But yeah, one of the main reasons I could not get into the story, Ring, the most annoying person ever. Like, the most annoying person. Guys, do you know of a character who's so self-deprecating that you really just can't get with her? And so I'm like, you know what? This has to be for the character development, right? She starts off self-deprecating, she starts off annoying, and then you know what? We bond with her after we learn her story, her trauma. That's what I'm expecting. I'm going through this book, and I consider DNFing this book like before we even get to the halfway point. She was damn near frustrating. I'm just like, no, no, no. There was, oh my goodness, guys. She was just so annoying. I couldn't get with her. We understand the trauma, we understand the history, and we understand where, the character's standpoint and her viewpoint, and what she is, what is, keeping her going in life. But there has never been such a character with such, there's nothing for me to root for. Like, nothing in your character is there for me to root for at all. And then, in the book, she's lost her mother, through childbirth and stuff like that. She's lost her father through a drug that the Romans, they brought in, and basically, like, it had such a terrible effect on the world itself. They're just like, oh, this will enhance people who, the people who have powers, it'll enhance their powers, and other people, it'll just be a great drug and stuff like that. And so people basically took it, and what happened, they got addicted. And for the people who have powers, the drug basically kills you, because the withdrawal kills you faster than a non-powered human, and so you have to keep doing it, but eventually it kills you anyway. And so, the drugs are a really, really big part of this world. It's called OPN, obviously modeled after opium. And her sister has now become, an opium addict. Her sister is also powered, as is she. But see, the thing is, her sister, her sister has been telling her, you have one of the most insane powers in not just this generation, but ever heard of in our world. You can stand against these colonizers because, they came saying they wanted peace. Obviously, after a while, they colonized and destroyed everything. And obviously, as expected, a few people have risen up and there's a revolution, a secret revolution. There's a leader, da da da, regular. Her sister is saying, you have the power of death because that's her power. She can tap into someone's chi and basically kill them. And, sometimes you can't even trace it. And she's like, you need to join. You need to help us out. And she's just like, no. And her sister, because of that, her and her sister's relationship has deteriorated. Her sister basically hates her. And at first, I'm just like, I kind of got it, because she's just like, you know what, I just want to focus on taking care of you guys. I don't want to get involved in a revolution. I was just like, okay, I can understand that, but your people are dying, babes. Like, get with it. And, I always see these characters in books where they're just like, I don't want to get involved. I want to keep my head down. You know what? That's fair, right? That's fair. But it came to a point in time where you agree with the sister and she's just so cowardly because there was a point in the book where even her life was in danger and she refused to do anything. And even after so many instances of seeing what the Romans are doing to her people, she just refused. And I'm just like, I can't get with you anymore. You're actually annoying me. And see, this is one of the things I think I was just like, maybe this is just a kind of me thing. Because in my head, I'm like, I can understand why some people are, not partaking in stuff like that because they just don't want to. But there was a bit too much realism in this nonsense. I was just like, this is a fantasy. I'm not for it. And the thing is, I'm just like, in real life, this is actually a bad stand to have as well. And I think that's also why I couldn't stand her. Because what her excuse was outside of I want to keep my head down is the fact that what can one person like me do to change, where this war is going? You know what? I joined the revolution. But let's be real, revolution never have any effect. And I'm just like, oh, she's one of those. She's just like, it's not gonna make a difference. But in this world that we're living in today, not even a fancy world, we see so many times where people are refusing to stand up for something that's right because they're just like, what will one voice do? What will one person do to change? But I'm just like, the fact that you say it means that other people are saying it. And when all of you now collectively say, what does one voice and one stand do? No, you guys are now a collective. And it was frustrating because to me, I'm just like, you know what? I'll understand if you don't want to be the person to stand up. To be the first to do anything, especially in a revolution. I've ever encountered one of those. I know that that's daunting because who's going to follow you, especially if you're like, you don't have any power, you don't have any influence. I can understand that. But no, the revolution has already been started. People have already started to back the revolution. All you need to do is support it in the way that you can. And you refuse. Couldn't stand her. Couldn't stand her for the life of me. And that's just one of the reasons I couldn't stand her. Like, it's just one. And we're going to go through why I couldn't stand her. Because we're not even going to touch the colonizer romance part yet. But no, we're going to address that. Because, that one is a different one for me. The next, another part of, Regan's character that I didn't like is that we understood her trauma. Like, her power is death. And I can imagine, discovering that power is not going to be cute. And so we do see that. We do see, the first time that she used her powers, she did kill someone and that has haunted her. And obviously, she became shunned by her friends because that happened when she was, really, really young and stuff like that. And she was shunned by everyone around her except, for a few. And so I can understand the trauma behind using her powers because she even sees herself as a monster. And so I'm like, okay, I can sympathize with you. But when your life isn't, you're literally, you're being killed right now, and you refuse to use your powers. I'm just like, when her sister said, you know what, I don't know why you were blessed with this power because everyone else would have done better with this power. Now, this power could have been dropped into the hands of, a cruel person, a murderer. So you know what? Fair. It definitely is better to have someone who's more cautious with that power than have someone who's really just using that power really, really nilly. That's fair. But to not use it for anything, definitely a waste. Definitely a waste, especially in this environment that they're in. Terrible waste, terrible waste. Now, one thing I did like about this book is that a lot of times when you have books where people have magical powers, the most that happens when they use their powers is like fatigue. But in this universe, there are actual real consequences to powers. And I love magic systems like that, because I'm like, you know what? Let's be real. Like, it's not just you just have a limited power at your fingertips. That's just wild. And because to me, I'm like, there will now be no limits to what can be done, because you know what? This is how books or even like shows and other forms of media introduce real, like, just new characters time and time again, and they just keep like raising the roof, like raising the limit of what powers can do, because you never actually put a real consequence, a real side effect to using your powers outside of fatigue. But in this world, magic users, the more they use their powers, the closer they are to death. Every time you use your powers, you basically shave off some time in your life. But because everyone's power is unique, no one actually knows how much time they're shaving off their life, because your power can be taking off a day from your life every time you use it. But someone else's power could be taking off a decade. Someone else's power could be taking off a minute. Everyone's power is very unique. Everyone has a different power. You can have like power over elements, but the way that you can control water can be different to someone the way that someone else can control water. So everything is different. So you never know how much is being shaved off your life, because you can't compare to someone else. And I love that. It was kind of like, subtle life message, like your path isn't my path. I thought it was super cute. But I really, really did love that part of the story. But I understand, her trauma stopped her from using her powers, but then her reluctance to use it in any circumstance really got on my nerves, because I'm just like, you're seeing basically everything burn around you, and you do not care. You yourself are dying. You're just like, I'm not using it. I'm just like, bruh. But you know what? I was frustrated, but I was just like, you know what? I liked how it kind of shows that, you know what, unresolved and unaddressed trauma goes deep, like even when your life depends on it. So I'm just like, you know what, I can understand it. It doesn't stop me from being frustrated, but I can understand it. Now, with all of these parts, like, she was frustrating me, she was annoying me, all of this, but obviously I was giving her a chance, because once again, I could put myself in her shoes and could empathize with her. I can understand everything. And then we get to the introduction of the colonizer, and that's where I'm just like, you've lost my empathy. I'm so sorry, dearie. So basically, the Romans came into their world in the sky. The Romans, came, through being friendly. Or we want to learn about your world. We want to have like trade with you and stuff like that. And obviously, they showed their true colors and unleashed a bunch of weapons. And in the beginning of the story, they told us like the war didn't last. Like the war lasted a day. Because yeah, they have magic, but then in Pangu, apparently the magic has been like less and less with each century, with each generation. Less people are having their magic, or are having magic, and even the magic that they have is less potent to the generations before. The Romans came through nicey nice, and then they decided no, and then they unleashed these insane, weapons. So at this point, the Romans are, from the world they come from, our world, I'm guessing, very, very technologically advanced, like the way that we are now, but obviously using weapons to solve everything. So they use their weapons to really just basically destroy, like, the army and their forces, like forcing her city in Pangu to, well, not necessarily her empire, to basically surrender to, cooperating or co-living with them. So they're basically being subjugated, but then they still get to keep some things, so that they can keep the facade of, we are, living together in some type of harmony. But everyone's just like, no, we're not. Now, they only conquered one empire, so the other empires said, this has nothing to do with us. They said nothing. They didn't come to their help. They didn't come to their aid. They just kept quiet. And so obviously, like, years have gone by. I think a century has gone by, and just time and time has gone by. Now the current Emperor Augustus, he has, his son has died, but he has three grandsons. Um and this is where it gets super, super messy. So you have Valentine, or Valentine, depending on how you want to pronounce it. He's the eldest, and he's the one who's, definitely going to take the throne, everyone thinks, because he's the eldest. But obviously, everyone knows that Emperor Augustus gives the throne to whoever he sees fit, because Rome is a meritocracy. I don't really know how that's gonna work out. Mm. But then Valentine is known to be ruthless. He's just killing whoever he wants. He just treats the people in their society like they're trash. And he makes it known, I don't value you guys. I don't see you guys as nothing but peasants. I do not care. And then one day, Miss Homegirl, she saw this Roman giving a coin to, like, a peasant, like a beggar on the street, and that's really what they all are, beggar, because her family herself were like, you know, rich, because her family had like military fame before, not anymore. She sees him giving, like, this gold coin that could be worth so much to this peasant, and then she sees a pouch of, like, that looks heavy with a bunch of gold hanging from him. So she grabs it and goes. And she almost gets caught, but then she gets away because of her friend. And, she thinks everything is going to go fine, everything is going to be well and dandy, right? Well, not too late after that, there's a raid in, like, their city. And there isn't meant to be like raids in their city, because they have like an alliance, an agreement, a treaty, peace treaty with, the Romans. So they're not meant to raid their city. They're raiding homes, and obviously they prepared for this and stuff like that. And her twin sister, remember, her twin sister is strung off that drug. He tries to get her twin sister out. Her twin sister is strung out, so she's just like, you know what, one of us has to make it. And she loves her twin sister, even though her twin sister hates her, and she has dedicated herself to really just protecting her twin sister. She hides her twin sister under the floorboards, and then, puts the bag of coins with her twin sister, and then she tries to escape. And she fights off a few of the Roman soldiers, and she almost makes it out. But, that technology again, she gets captured. And, basically the way that it happens is, they all put them in a bunch of cells, and they put them there for like ages. And then when they finally take them out, they bring them to an arena. And basically you have to perform for the two princes, Valentine and one of his younger brothers, Antony. You have to perform for them, show them your powers. If they see that your powers are worth it, you'll keep living. You'll get to roam the streets free or whatnot, free. And then if you don't please them, you are never seen again, ever, ever. And so she goes, she performs, and the younger sibling, Antony, says, "Yep, I want her." She takes that chance to try and escape. She doesn't make it anyway. But at that point, after, she tries to escape and she gets shot. um, she gets treated just a bit, but not too much that, she can actually heal very quickly. And, you know, Antony comes up to her and it's just like, come on, you should have known. But then he basically tries to, like, come up to her friendly, to kind of like be friends and say, I want you to work for me, but I'm not like my brother. I'm not like the others. I'm not cruel. And so he tells her this story about how actually he's not like his brother or his grandfather. He actually wants them to leave Pangu, and he really actually wants to help liberate Pangu and stuff like that. And he wants the best for his world as well, and how he's trying to, like, actually usurp the throne from, Valentine. He hasn't gotten it yet, but, he wants his grandfather to choose him so that he can make the world better for both of their worlds. And he tells her all this yada yada nonsense. And then, he's just like, if you agree to work with me, we can actually accomplish this if you agree to do what I tell you. And this is where everything goes downhill. Everything goes downhill. And this is where the colonizer romance, this is where we start to see a bunch of that. And this is where, like, that phrase has come from. Because he is a colonizer. He's from the colonizing people. And as we know with books like these. Now, this is where I spent, like, all night reading this. And I was pissed. I was livid. I do not think you understand how absolutely insanely upset I was reading this. First and foremost, when she is introduced to Antony, and obviously he's talking to her and trying to, like, make her join him willingly. I hate the interactions, and even, like, the few interactions after that, because there's one thing to try to humanize your enemies and try to see the good in everyone, especially because obviously he's trying to make it seem like he's on her side. But her, I could tell where this was going. I'm just like, I heard people say this is colonized romance, but God, I hope not. God, I hope not. Because she wasn't just trying to empathize with him or, trying to humanize him. She was actually trying to fall in love with him. Like, if you've read the book, you know what I mean. Like, she was trying to connect with him in any way that she could. She was trying to like find a connection, or find a way to really like connect. Like she's just like, I know he's the enemy, but it would be good to do, to actually just, believe him, and fall into the warmth of his arms. Like, this is like their very first encounter, Sha. To be fair, he was the guy who was given the coin, the coin that she stole. So it's their second encounter technically, but she was, I kid you not, she was trying to fall in love with him. I read it and I'm just like, I'm gonna give you a chance to prove to me that you're not a colonizer romance, but you're not starting off well. Not at all. Like, starting off terribly. Like, she was desperate to actually fall for him. And that's where I was just like, I really don't like you. Immediately, I couldn't stand her again. I'm just like, all the empathy that I had built up for you, lost. Gone. Couldn't deal with her. And you see, one of the things that as like I was turning the pages and going through the story that really even set in stone for me that I did not like this girl is the fact that he admitted to her that, you know what, I'm not a nice person. I'm 100%, you know what, I'm from the Augustus family. I'm ruthless. You know what, even though, you know what, I'm trying to do what's best, but I'm ruthless. He's told her he's ruthless. And the thing is, from their very first encounter where they actually speak to each other, he's playing word games on word games on word games. He is showing that he does not have a trustworthy character. And you know what? I can understand how he actually was able to move how he moved, because I don't know about his other people in his life, but I can see him going up to her, like having like two lines set and then saying, I know exactly what to do to manipulate you, because she made herself so easy to manipulate. Like, I was just like, girl, honestly, like, make it harder for him, please. Like, you know what? He is a prince, and he is obviously probably like taught in the art of manipulation. Make yourself hard to manipulate. Make it difficult for him to like pull the wool over your eyes. Nope. Nope. And you know what? The only thing I appreciated from her is that she admitted that she was selfish, because he's just like, listen, if you kill for me, because I need to kill a few people to get to where I'm going. If you kill for me, then I'll ensure that your family remains safe, your grandmother and your sister. I'll ensure that they remain provided for. And you know what? You'll never have to worry about anything. And even you'll have power and wealth and all that. And she even said, she's like, like, not to him, but in her head, in her monologue, she's just like, you know what? I gotta be selfish, because I will give anything to protect those who are nearest and dearest to me. Once again, the cowardice coming in. I'm just like, yo, sister was right to turn her back on you. You suck. You are terrible as a person. You're partnering with these colonizers willingly, and you know that what you're doing is wrong. But you know what? If it's to save the people I care about, and you know what, I can sympathize with loving the people nearest to you. But you know what? Not only are you like choosing them, you're actively going against people. It's not that you are, you're actively choosing them. You're actively going against your people. You're actively choosing the Romans by doing this, because you're killing people. And then the thing is, as time goes on, you're actually you're recognizing a pattern that you're just like, sis, can you not recognize it? And the thing is, what I hate about her is that she couldn't put two and two together and see the gaps within his stories, or see where parts didn't match up. Because he would say that he's ruthless, and then he's just like, I'm just like you. Because he revealed, that he actually, he isn't royalty by blood. He was adopted. And he said that he was given a choice. He did the same thing that she did. He stole coins from a royal person, and the royal person said, I'm gonna give you a choice. Join me, and basically, and he put a gun in his hand and said, join me and kill everyone in your family, or die right now. Those were his choices. And you know what? He was just like, I could pay for my sins, and my family already has the coins. It is what it is. Or I can gain the wealth, power, and influence that, the royal family just offered me if I just kill everyone I care about. So he just told you that he chose wealth, power, and influence over those he loved. And you're going to believe that this guy has anyone's best interest at heart except his own? Literally, He chose himself over those he cared about. So you're really going to think that he's going to trust anyone, that he's going to put anyone's interest above his own. So when he tells you that, oh, yes, I want power, but I also want the good of both of our worlds, you're gonna believe him? No, sis. He literally told you, I chose wealth and power. He told her with his own mouth. And she did not put in her head that, you know what? These things are not matching up, that you want the best for others, but you actually chose wealth over people that you were supposed to care about. I couldn't stand her. I'm just like, you're stupid every step of the way. Every step of the way. And it did not help that she was telling us how she found like his physical attributes appealing. I was just like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I was waiting for like, the comments and the people who were causing a riot to be proven wrong, because I know like people really like sensationalism is a real thing, and people take something and run with it. So I'm just like, someone probably heard colonizer romance and just ran with it and it became popular. But I'm just like, no. With every page, you're proving those people right. But I still wanted to give her a chance. Mind you, we're getting towards the half of the book, and I want to not finish this book because I am frustrated with this girl at this point. I can't stand her at this point. There are several characters that I'm just like, sometimes I don't want to root for you, but I feel like she's one of the first like main characters where I'm just like, I am actively rooting against you. Actively rooting against you. Because like honestly, I just like this. Why would he actually like divulge not only his entire backstory, how he's feeling, but his entire plans to really take over to someone who he's just met, who's on the opposite side, who he's holding captive, who has admitted to hating him? Why would he do that? And then he's just like, to gain your trust. And you really just said, you know what, sounds about right. He's gonna tell me all of that to gain my trust. You know what? A sob story would have gained your trust, babes. And this is what I mean. She was the easiest to manipulate. One little small sob story, and she was already there. You know what? I was over her already. I was sick of it. I was tired of her. I said, you know what? I wish the worst for you for the rest of this book. And I 100% did. Like, at that point, I gave up on him. Yeah. Because, like, she even acknowledged that he was, saying this sob story, to gain her trust. So she's just like, yeah, he's saying all this to gain my trust. But she's saying it as an olive branch. And me, I'm like, that's not an olive branch, baby. That's a chess move. And you need to start learning how to play. Now, like I said, at this point, I gave up on her. And I actually had to stop and actually think, wait, Shelly, are you too cynical, But then I had to stop myself and say, you know what? Maybe because this is an actual story about colonialism, maybe because, she's actually trying to make excuses for a colonizer. Maybe because she's actually taking sides with a colonizer against her own people. Because it's funny how when not just like her sister, but other people are begging her to use her power for the revolutionaries, begging her to use her powers for her people, she said no. She said no because she wants to protect her people. She wants to protect the two people who matter to her, like, her sister and her grandmother. But, the minute Anthony comes and backs some eyelashes and really just, throws a sob story in front of her, then she's ready to, risk it all, kill people. I'm just like, sis, I don't want to hear it from you anymore. You cannot justify anything to me anymore. Like, you cannot justify anything. You cannot justify anything for me anymore, because you know what? At least with the revolutionaries, she knew who they were and she knew their cause. Anthony is not only a stranger, but from what you know of him and his family, their cause is literally against your people, your life, like just everything, But this is who you choose to align with. And I know that she even said, I'm selfish, because I'm only looking out for my people. And I couldn't get with her. Like, the more and more pages we went through, I couldn't get with that. You want to know why? Because her sister and her grandmother, they would have given their lives for their country. 100%. Like, they come from a war family. Like, they've lost their status and stuff like that. But her grandmother was married to, like, one of the top generals in their country. Like, the general who actually went against Rome. Obviously, they lost. But, still. And the thing is, it was even noted in the story, because one of the whole parts of this story is the fact that obviously women aren't seen as much, women aren't seen to have much value. And it was even said that her grandmother was actually the reason for her grandfather's success, because her grandmother was actually the brilliant strategist who actually made all the plans, but her grandmother's name was never in any history books. But because of that, her grandmother had seen things, and her grandmother was always ready to fight. Like, her grandmother taught her and her sister to fight, to defend themselves if ever anything were to happen. And her sister is obviously in line with the revolutionaries. Like, she's with them. her grandmother and her sister are ready and willing to fight and die if that is needed, if that is necessary. But no, she's just like, oh, I'm not going to kill, I'm not going to join the revolutionaries because they need to be protected. They don't want to be protected. Like they would like it, but if worse came to worse and if they had to choose, they would have chosen to fight and die if she had asked them. But no, she wanted to like stand on her moral high ground and stand on this self-righteousness and wanted to be worthy of something, wanted to actually say that, you know what, I saved them. That's actually the problem here. That's one of the things I didn't like about her. She didn't want to admit to herself, but then the whole reason why she was doing the most is the fact that she wanted to turn around and say, you know what, I've done something worthy of, being remembered in the history books. I've done, they like, if I ever die, they can turn around and say that she saved us. Like, I was just like, oh my goodness, annoying. And there's a difference between like her and other characters, because other characters, they will show us their flaws and they will show us like when they do bad things for good reasons. And then here it's just like, you are saying that you're doing bad things for good reasons, but I'm just like, I can't even trust that your good reasons are actually good, because I'm just like, I really, at this point, I couldn't even trust in her, I couldn't trust in her morals. I couldn't trust in what she was saying. I couldn't trust in like why she was doing what she was doing anymore. The minute she tagged alongside with Anthony, the minute she like believed his like story without questions, but then she would be questioning a lot of people with what they did. I just couldn't, because she had a friend who was under Valentine, the older brother, and he was the bastard of the emperor of their kingdom, so he never really got real power, and him and his mother were poor. And at the beginning of the book, she gave him a hard time for basically being like the Roman's lapdog. But I'm just like, you know what? He's doing it, and he said why he's doing it. He's shown that he's doing it, to actually big himself and actually help where he can. At least he's honest, he's just like, I know why I did what I did. And then she was beating him up, and then now when she's doing it, I'm just like, sis, one, the hypocrisy is hilarious, and two, your reasons less noble. I'm so sorry. And the more you read the book, you're gonna be like, yeah, definitely less noble. Because like with every chapter that we went through, it's just like Anthony was giving Red Queen Maven. In the first book, how Maven throughout the entire book, like he's with her and we're just like, oh, he's on our side. We have someone over there on our side, and then he's realized that should be the big bad. That's what it's giving. And I'm just like, I was waiting throughout the entire book for him to just reveal himself, Because I was, at least in Red Queen, he actually did things to prove that he was on their side. He wasn't actively doing bad things or actively asking our girl to do bad things. In this book, actively asking her to do bad things, that really, the more you're reading what she's doing, it's just like, babes, even you have to see that this, no matter what he is selling you, this cannot be for your people's greater good, like at all. It just can't. But she keeps doing it. And what makes me even more upset is that the more that time goes on, you know what? She's humanizing him more and empathizing with him more and falling for him, even though she doesn't want to call it what it is. Call a spade, babes. Call a spade. You're falling for him. I can't stand you even more. I can't stand you, because I know some of you might be like, oh, but if he's told her, like, he's doing these things for the good of her people, like she has reason to believe. Guys, I'm telling you, when you read the book and you see how, one, their first interaction and several interactions after that, you're just like, you can tell that this guy's not a good person. No matter how many lies he's spouting to her, you can tell he's not a good person, and she should have been able to as well. One, when they first met, she's been raised by a strategist. She has her own intelligence. Like, she's a smart girl, right? He was shocked at her intelligence, like actually surprised that, she had wit and she had a brain, that her people, weren't just senseless fools. I'm just like, babes, he doesn't even see you as being anything more than a mudslinger. Like, babes, he sees you as dirt, like his other people see you. He's no different. He was surprised at your intellect. You are the exception to his rule. And so in my head, I'm just like, why are you taking pride in being the exception? Because that was one of the things that was going through in the story. you know what? He cares for me, he's protecting me. So, that's all I care about. I'm just like, you shouldn't, like, I said, such self-deprecating attitude and such a lack of self-esteem, I have to say. And I couldn't stand her for it. And not just that, time and time again throughout the book, like she'll put herself on a level playing field with him, like, oh, you know what, he cares for me, he cares for us, he wants to help our country and stuff like that, he wants to help our world. And every now and then, she put herself on that level playing field, and she's just like, I fully trust it, and he puts her in her place. As in, like, there's a phrase that he says regularly throughout the book, like, in little droplets. Remember who I am and remember who you are. Whenever she goes too far, like she asks him a question that he doesn't want to answer, and then like she tries to bring him to task. He's just like, remember who you are and remember who I am. But you know what really makes me really upset with that is whenever he does that, and obviously she kind of like starts to sink within herself because she remembers her place. He then turns around and it's just like, he starts to basically speak, and in that subtle voice, that soft voice, and just say sweet nothings into her ears, and she falls for it immediately. Like, she falls back into his little ploy immediately. And I just sit there like, his real character just came out, and you witnessed it, you were a victim of it, and you just decide, oh, okay, he didn't mean it. I was just like, babe, this is giving Stockholm. I couldn't stand her. I'm just like, babe, he's shown you time and time again who he is. The fact that he doesn't see you as more than what he sees as peasants, as your people. He sees you all the same, and you think you're an exception to the rule, but he's just using you until he's ready to dispose of you. And there was one scene that really, really disgusted me. And the fact that she still decided to like stay on his side. He literally disrespected her world, her culture, her beliefs, and spoke to her like she was an ignoramus, like she had no common sense. Like, oh, you guys believe in that? Oh, come on, this is just, these are just, the beliefs of mere peasants who don't know any better. Literally, he was talking down to her like that. And then obviously, like, she snapped back a bit and retreated in herself. And then he apologized for, I apologize for what I said about, your beliefs and stuff like that. But he's like, I still believe it. And I'm just like, babes, time and time again, she just cradles back into his arms. And I just wanted to fall within myself. And you know what? There's one part of this book that I think I literally saved it as being one of my favorite parts because it was amazing. One of her friends, the friends who was with Valentine, he revealed himself to actually be like on their side, and he's really just like a double agent. And I suspected it, and I loved it. I'm just like, yes, this is what we need. Intellectuals who know that what, bad things need to be done for good things, but what is the level of bad and what is the level of good being done. So I loved him. And then obviously he was just like, I don't want you to kill Anthony, but I'm gonna need you to just incapacitate him with your power. And she, after going through everything that she's gone through with this man, like, and I tell you, like, him denigrating her belief and really just putting her in her place several times, she defends him. It's like, I'm not gonna hurt him. No, he's on our side. La di da di da. And he just delivers the most immaculate read. And I actually want to read it to you guys because I was just like, he said in just a short paragraph what I was trying to put into words, and it was just beautiful. I have it saved. Let me get it for you guys. Okay, guys, be ready because this was beautiful. All of his lingering stares and whispers of admiration are like lullabies soothing your fragile ego because no one had ever said those things to you before. That line. Because you have convinced yourself that you don't deserve to be loved. Is your self-esteem so low that you let the enemy prince woo you just because you think he sees something in you that no one else can? Do you hate yourself that much, reading? The read was immaculate. I said, He literally called a spade a spade. He called it out for what it was. And after he said, even her, she was just like, I can't even say anything. Like, in her head, she's like, I can't even say anything back because he just read me for filth and it's all true. And she acknowledges that's true, right? She goes back Anthony's side and protects him like her life depends on it. Guys. I said, because everything he said was true. Everything he said it was so insanely true. And I'm just like, in this moment, I thought that after she heard that and after she was read for filth, like the filth that she is, to be fair, at this point in time, I said, this is the wake up call she needs. She's going to be on their side. No, no. I'm just like, he calls out Anthony for being that white savior that, we all know of, especially when it comes to colonizers, saving them from, their savagery, saving them from what they don't know because we know better. That white savior complex that all colonizers have. Calls Anthony out for it and calls her out for her own like lack of self-esteem and self-deprecating nature, and the fact that she just loathes herself and never really admits it, and any little kind gesture would have won her over. He calls her out and I love it. But then she gets called out and she does nothing to change. And I think it was because every time I kept saying I was done with her, I just like there was small hope in me. And it was at that moment that I fully decided this girl can't be redeemed. You receive a read like that and you decide, you know what? It's all true and I'm going to keep going. It's all true and I'm going to keep going. And then you know what was really terrible after that? After that, they go through, they go to a new empire who hasn't been conquered by Rome yet. And Rome is wanting to make a treaty, but they're actually wanting to backstab, the emperor in the back. And then she had, after the read that that her friend gave her, she's just like, maybe I'm on the wrong side. So she had like a moment of, oh, I'm gonna try and help them. And then the emperor tells her something, and then she goes and snitches to Antony about what she finds out from the emperor. And at this moment, I was like, nah, throw this heifer in the gulag. I'm done with her. I'm not dealing with her anymore. She can go. Honestly, she can drown in the deepest of rivers, and I hope the river water is dusty. I hope it is murky as hell. I hope she drowns in dusty, dirty, murky water. I just wanted her to go. I can't stand her. Every part of her being was frustrating me. Every part of her really deserved a smack. I could not justify anything she was doing anymore at this point. I'm just like, you were read for filth and you still didn't change. You not only did you not change, you went and you decided to go and deepen your betrayal of your people even further. I could not stand this girl at all. I said, you know what? I don't know how this series is going to end, because obviously this entire this is the first book, and there's like, I don't know if it's a duology, a trilogy. I'm not too sure, but I said, I don't know how this series is going to end, but if it does not end with your suffering, and I don't mean suffering because someone you care about has hurt, because that just means that they suffered for you, if only thing. I want her to suffer. I don't know how, but I want her to encounter the worst of the worst. I want her to experience the deepest of pains ever, ever from that point. And then from that point, it just went downhill. It just went downhill. It went downhill. And then we got like a mini glimpse into Anthony's mind. And I kind of have to laugh at it because he admits that he has feelings for her, and he's lost away his feelings. And I'm just like, you know what? Made me laugh about it. It's because he's just like, obviously he has feelings of love for her, but I'm just like, for someone like you who doesn't really understand what love is, like, you have feelings of love for her to the extent that you understand love, but your understanding of love is not correct. So I'm just like, I dismissed it immediately. I don't care about the feelings he has for her, because people are just like, no, 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 he actually felt for her. I know that people are going to say that. Like I said, I haven't like read any reviews, I haven't watched any reviews, but I know that the people who are probably defending this book are probably going to say that, oh, no, 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 we actually saw, like, from his viewpoint, he actually has feelings for her, and he's just trying to not let them out because that's how he was taught, and that's how we need to actually be strong to take over. No, 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 no. Even if he has love for her, because his definition of love has been tainted and is so poor, that definition of love is incorrect. And so, you know what? His feelings, dismissed. I do not care. Dismissed. I don't want to hear from you. You know what? You can love whatever you want, but you know what? Because your love is trash, dismissed. And I just, after all that we went through, there were still a few pages left in the book, and I said, I don't know if I'll be able to handle this, because I just want this girl. I just want her done. I just want her done. Like I said, I want her to suffer the most suffering that suffering hasn't been invented. I don't care. I couldn't stand her at all. And then, we go through a few more pages, and a few things happen, and I'm just like, oh, they care for each other, but the person you care for is trash. And And then we get to the end of the book where it it takes a really, really tragic event for her to actually see what everyone has been saying and what was in front of her eyes this entire time, for her to actually accept it as truth and decide to, you know, to actually like make a move, or to actually like move, like, you know, do something. And like I said, when she betrayed that emperor, who was honestly like their empire, so like they were awesome, and the emperor and the little princeling, I loved him, even though we only got glimpses of him. I was just like, I love them. And her betrayal, like I said, it sealed the deal for me. So I don't care if at the end she, you know, she's turned, you know, over a new leaf and la da 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 da, and she now wants to actually help her people. Too little, too late. Of course, I'm rooting for the people to survive and to actually rise up and to actually beat Rome, but too little, too late. And once again, the reason that she saw Anthony for who he is and accepted the truth of what was, it was a selfish reason. And I'm just like, again, after everything that's happening in this book, there's a point in time where you have to decide to not be selfish. There are definitely times where we have to like put ourselves first. I won't even lie. In life, definitely sometimes to put ourselves first. But if your actual like being, if your permanent state of being is selfishness, I'll never roll with you. No, never ever roll with you at all. Which is why throughout this entire book, I had to be shaking my head because I could understand moments of selfishness and acts of selfishness, but she was a selfish being. Even in the end, the reason she changed her, you know, her viewpoints, her allegiances, and all that was because of, you know, something that, you know, affected her and hurt her and this and that. And I'm just like, that is not a good reason. Because the minute like something good happens, who's to say you won't change again? No, absolutely not. I am ready for her to suffer in this next book. I just want her to suffer. I as a character, she's the most unsympathetic character I've ever had the displeasure of reading about. And I this is why I couldn't that's why I said I couldn't write for this book. Like at first I'm just like, it was a slow paced book and I already don't like slow paced books. Sorry. If you know me, you know me. It got better towards like, you know, the middle and stuff like that. But I don't really care for slow paced books. But I'm just like, you know what? The story, the history, it all seemed like in the world building, it all seemed like it's building up to something. So I kept with it, even though I hated her from like the beginning. And I was hoping for a character development. And I'm just like, this development is not in the way I expected it to. And I disliked you, hated you at this point, let's be real, from beginning to end. And so this is why I can't I can't ride for this book. I can't like tell everyone, you know what, this book is an amazing book. I can't. Like I said, because there are redeeming parts in this book, as in like there are other characters who I like. And like I said, the world building has some like redeeming qualities. I like the magic system. Like those are like little parts. But in terms of like with me, I always say characters make the book for me. Like 100% characters make the book. I am someone who is all for a character driven book because I'm just like, your book can suck, but a character driven book, if the characters have all the vibes, I can definitely get with it. And I think that's what really really hurt for this book, because I dislike the characters so much. But because there are characters I'm rooting for, I'm going to stick with this journey, just because one, I want to see what happens. All in all, I always like to see how things wrap up, especially with stories I'm not too fond of in the beginning, because I'm just like, maybe you get better. Two, I'm actually very very committed to seeing her get hurt and suffering. So I actually need to see that happen in the next book. So I'm honestly just looking forward to that. Like, I'm not even seeing. I don't want to see her prosper. I'm actually committed to seeing her like suffer. There are other people in this book who I'm committed to seeing suffer. Um, Quite a few, and so I'm very committed to seeing them suffer 100%. And there are people who I am looking to see their character development. I've given up on reading, but I'm looking to see other characters develop, and hoping to see more of other characters as well. So I will get the next book. Don't shoot me. I know I really just spent like what, almost an hour like just downing this book for filth. But like I said, I I'm invested in the story because I'm invested in certain aspects and certain people in the story. How I'm invested in them obviously is a bit sketchy because I'm invested in a lot of people's downfalls, but I want to see those downfalls come through 100%. 100%. But from all of this, you can decide whether or not you want to pick this up. If you want to go through the journey of reading and going through suffering or going through a story with the most annoying, hateful character. And if you think you can do that, 100% go with it. Join me in our journey to hate her until the end. Join me. Um, but if you're just like, you're not with it, you're not with the colonizer romance, you're not with her nonsense, you're not with her turning her back on her people, then you know what? Sit this one out. If you've already bought the book, donate it. Sell it. I don't know. Do something with it. But like I said, this book will have you livid. Absolutely livid. I didn't even expect to go this long speaking about this book, but I had so many thoughts, and I don't even know if I've communicated them all. I don't even know if I really just went through all the things, which is why I think I'm going to try and see, especially with like fantasy books, if I can like record myself as I read, because I would even like, I'm really calm. I don't think this was a rant video because I get loud. I'm actually really calm, because like when I read, I'm flinging the book around. Honestly, it's in great condition considering. I'm flinging the book around. I'm jumping up and down. I'm yelling. Honestly, I feel sorry for my neighbors because I scream in the middle of the night. It was 2 a.m. and I was screaming. So sorry to them. But I'm doing all of that. And so I think now when I come to review it, I've kind of just lost energy and I just can't give any more to this book anymore. So I think I really am going to try to see if I can, record myself in the moment, especially when the books are getting intense or when the books are going through insane parts. Like when I was reading that read, when he was reading her for filth, guys, the way I was freaking out, I reread it. I was just like, yes, 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 yes. Do do more. Tell her more how bad I was all in it. I was all in it. But now I'm just kind of like, I finished this book, and as one of the first like few fantasy books that I've read, since like starting to get back into the groove of reading, because remember I've been reading a lot of thrillers. I'm so annoyed that this is the one. This is the one I read. Like, this is the fantasy book. Oh, God. But you know what, guys? I don't want to keep you guys too long. If you've stuck around this long, I love you guys as always. If you've read this book, let me know what you think. Like, are you actually on her side? You know where I stand. I can't stand her. I can't stand Anthony. I really hope both of them suffer together. In different ways. I feel like they need different types of suffering you to really, really drive it in. Um, if you haven't read this book, are you intending to read this book after hearing this and maybe even after seeing everyone else's reviews and what everyone else is saying? Like, what are your thoughts? You guys know I love hearing your thoughts. I don't always have time to like reply to everything, but I always love seeing and reading your thoughts. It's always great. So do be sure to let me know what you think. What books do you think I should read another book that, might redeem my brain from the crap I've just experienced? If you do, then let your girl know because your girl needs something to really just restore her heart. Because I'm just like, this should not have been the fantasy book I read first of all, at all. But it is what it is. And now you guys know. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope to see you again soon. I've gone through it, guys, and you guys can tell I'm drained, but it is what it is. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I really will see if I can like gather like all the information about the drama with Molly because I heard that it was a lot. Like I think it happened like a month ago, and I heard it was a lot because I heard it happened like even before the release of her book, and I'm just like, wait a minute, babes, like what's going on? Like what's going on? Like she really isn't having the best like debut honestly. God bless her though. But yeah, so I will see if I can report on it, and if I just get exhausted from the actual drama as well, y'all not gonna hear from me. Go and find out from somebody else. Sorry about it. Love y'all though. So do be sure, to come back and see what's up and posted. Do be sure to, of course, like, comment, as I said, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Bye, guys.